On the Track is a web TV show about cryptozoology, natural history, green issues and whatever else the team feel like making up as they go along. Enjoy!
So what do we have in this episode, Mr. Jon?
Well, Hennis, first of all we're going to be discussing sabre-toothed cats, both marsupial cats and non-marsupial cats, and how and why they may or may not survive to the present day. And then we're going to go and see something that Max Blake, Dr. Max, has brought us.
I really like the old credits.
So, Rossiter, what's the jive then down at the old Brixton Youth Outreach Centre?
Oh, Barry, you know, lots of people say the youth of today, they don't do anything for the community. Well, that's just not true, because I got them all doing something for the community, and it's really good.
And what have you got them doing, Rossiter?
I got them picking up dog toffee with cocktail sticks. One of them sat in the dog toffee by accident.
Ugh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Downs. I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology. Forgive me for having to lie back like this, but I'm still suffering from problems with my feet, and I have been informed by the surgeon of dire results if I don't keep my feet off the ground as much of the time as possible. However, what he didn't realise was the fact that I'm now lolling back like an 18th century lady in a sedan chair, combined with the fact it's colder outside, means that I am now almost permanently covered with animals. Here is Archibald Archimedes the Archimandrite, otherwise known as Archie, my little dog, and here is Lilith Tinkerbell, my little black cat, and they have spent most of the time since I have been enforced of sitting here with my feet up to come and join me, which, as you can see, is very difficult when I have to balance my computer keyboard upon the back of a small dog. However, I suppose this is probably quite a minuscule example of how the CFZ works and what it is we do. And as regular viewers will know, twice a week on Friday, why do I keep on saying Friday? On Wednesday evenings at 6:30 and on Saturday afternoons at 3, we bring you a miscellany of hard science, weird shit, and surreality. What's surreality? Well, this is. Well, once again this week, Miss Maxine has sent me an interesting piece of video. Have a look at this. It appears to be some sort of crocodilian, but it's not behaving or moving in the way that a crocodilian normally moves. My best guess is that it is an American alligator that has been in a fight, because you can see that the end of its snout is missing, and it appears that its front left foot is also damaged, which is causing it to flounder around like this in the mud. But there is also a caiman species called the broad-snouted caiman, Caiman laterostris, which is a member of the alligator family found in eastern and central South America, including southeastern Brazil, northern Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay and Bolivia. It's found in freshwater marshes, swamps and mangroves, usually in still or very slow-moving waters. In the wild, adults normally grow to between 2 and 2.5 meters, that's 6'7" to 8'2" in old money, but a few old males have been recorded to reach a length of 11 foot. As you can see from this picture, the species does have a characteristic broad snout, just like the animal in the video that Maxine sent me. But as the animal in the video does definitely have a wounded, or in fact a partially missing, front left foot, I know how it feels, then logic dictates that the missing part of the stump, probably as the result of a fight, was also responsible for the damage to the creature's nose. And so my original idea that it is a injured and slightly misshapen, if that's the right word, American alligator probably is the truth. Much to my surprise, however, I couldn't find any stock footage of an American alligator sliding down mud, because really, to make sure that I had got things correct, I wanted to check and see what an American alligator sliding down mud looked like, but I couldn't find it. So if anybody can find me a piece of footage of an American alligator sliding down some smooth mud like this, please let me know, send me the link, and then I can finally put this little story to bed. But now, let's go on to another subject. Okay, Richard, I've got one for you. What do you think about the claims that have surfaced over the years about the survival to the present day of one or more of the species of sabre-toothed cat or the sabre-toothed marsupial cat?
Well, I'm unaware of any claims for marsupial sabre-toothed cats. The claims for other sabre-toothed cats, once again, they're so poorly substantiated. They're not like sightings of, say, something like a Tasmanian wolf, where there are lots and lots of sightings, regular sightings over a long period of time. These are odd accounts here and there, or hearsay of something from native folklore that sounds a bit like a sabre-toothed cat. The chagau of Sumatra sounds a bit like a homothere, but I've never met anybody that actually saw one. And it appears that, as far as I'm aware, in Kerinci they've heard of it, but no one's seen one. And in times past, when I first started to go, about nearly 20 years ago, a claimed sighting of one could set a whole area into a panic. Now people just say they've heard of it, but they don't know that anybody that's seen one. And I've never met anyone that's claimed to have seen one. In other parts of Sumatra, they've not heard of it. So whether it existed at all and whether it was a homothere is a different matter. It's a matter of conjecture. The ones from Africa, the ones from Ethiopia, once again, there's so little to go on. And the thing about saber-toothed cats is that they were very specialised. They weren't particularly fast runners. They ambushed their prey, and they hunted large prey like bison and buffalo and things, and they grab a hold of it with their claws, pull it over, and then slash the throat with the saber teeth. So they would need a population of large, not particularly fast moving prey to prey on. So they're not very high up on my list of possible prehistoric survivors.
The ones in Chad that have been reported from Chad, I know are things that have always fascinated several people in the CFZ family. But Chad, at the risk of angering everybody from the Chad Tourist Board who watches this show, is a pretty inhospitable place. Does the same thing that you were saying about the others, about it being that the stories of these things are few and far between. Do you think that that is what's happened there?
I think there's something from native folklore, and I don't think they have any reality, any zoological reality. They're distorted things from native folklore rather than anything real, I think, in this case.
If they are misidentifications of real creatures, what would the real creatures be?
I don't know if lions are still living in Chad, but lions have long tails and they lack the long teeth of the sabre cats. I can't think of anything they could be confused with.
The only reports I know of alleged sabre-toothed marsupial cats come from various reports of putative thylacoleonids, some of which have been described as having big fangs, but more like the teeth of a scimitar cat than one of a smilodon.
Well, the true thylacoleonids, they didn't have enlarged canines. They had very small canines, so the thing that was enlarged and did the killing were the incisors. So the true marsupial saber-tooths was Thylacosimilus from South America, and they were replaced by the placental saber-toothed cats when the Isthmus of Panama connected North and South America.
What about the scimitar cats? Because they were two species of scimitar cat were once found in Britain, weren't they?
Yeah, and apparently they were around a lot more recent than we thought. According to cave art, they may have been around at the time of early modern man in Europe. So they may have entered into folklore that way, but I don't think there are any surviving ones.
I wouldn't have thought that folklore would last that length of time.
Apparently it does. The Aborigines have some legend of a great flood that has been linked to something that actually happened, and we know from geological science, and it was been handed down, this story, and it goes back something like 60,000 years.
But the Aborigines had a undisturbed culture from prehistory to the first half of the 19th century when the Europeans arrived. But the idea of culture surviving that length of time makes some sort of sense. But the idea of it surviving in Europe, where there have been so many changes over the centuries, does sound more problematical.
But maybe later cultures found the art and artefacts of earlier cultures.
Back in the late summer, we had a visit from my old friend and adopted nephew, Dr. Max Blake.
Dr. Max! Dr. Max! Dr. Max! Hey!
And he brought a pile of books with him. Not unusual, you might say, but look at the amount of books we have. Now, Max and his lovely girlfriend Ruth are just buying a house and then moving into a house together. But there is an absence of room in their house. And so Max was forced to do what all of us bibliophiles dread most. He had to go through his collection of books and weed them out. And rather than sending them to eBay or to a charity shop, he was kind enough to send them to us.
That's a good start.
Fate of the Elephant.
What's that about?
It's about the fate of elephants.
Who's it by?
We did kind of fall into that one.
Douglas H. Chadwick.
I wonder if there's any relation to Richard Chadwick.
I don't know. Everyone with Chadwick must be related to each other. That's the way
He's
it
the
works.
drummer of Hawkwind.
Oh, yeah.
Starts off in Siberia, so it must include mammoths.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll read that. Have you ever read Ivan T. Sanderson's Dynasty of Abu? Which is about elephants. Yeah?
No, I haven't.
We've got that upstairs. It's a lovely book. Apart from Follow the Whale, I think it's my favourite of his books.
A Book of British Birds.
I think I already have that, so I will probably end up...
Binning it.
No, I'm not going to bin it. I'd probably get a Maxine's granddaughter.
Academy of the Sciences, USSR.
What is it? Not the Snowman Report.
No,
is it?
something of the conference on fish diseases.
Proceedings of the conferences on fish diseases from the USSR.
You've got better eyes than me. I couldn't read that.
I tell you that it's not really it.
A book about proceedings of the conferences of fish diseases.
Is it in Russian?
No, it's in English. But we have to keep that.
Of course we do.
Right then.
There we go.
Tasmanian wolf again.
Well, that's a nice painting.
Hunters who had shot wild goats and the tiger had come and grabbed them. And we talked to a park ranger who had seen one a month before we were there from 100 foot away. And people had seen females with cubs, the whole lot. So I want to go back to Tajikistan.
We've got that, Richard, if you want it, if you haven't got
Mammoth hunt. I can't remember if I've got this or not.
it. Well, take it, and take it, and if you haven't got it, give it. If you have got it, give it to somebody else.
They were not mammoths at all. They weren't even stegodonts. They were just very big Indian elephants.
With what? What
That's
is-
B. Mendus.
God. No, they were with what Tim Keeling called the Domes of Wisdom, which apparently happened to elderly African elephants,
Asian elephants.
Asian elephants. I don't know if they happen to African ones as well.
Animal breeding. Hey, whoa, hang on. Animal breeding. New revised edition with the author's new chapter entitled Australian Sheep and Cattle and an Adventure in Poultry Breeding.
Good book, that one.
I've actually read it.
I probably have a long time ago.
Well, it's about poultry, so we're keeping it. Because you know how I'm obsessed with chicken.
There are Giants in the Sea. Michael Bright, great
Have you
book.
got that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so have we. But,
It's a very good book. We
I
can-
will find somebody who...
Yeah, we can give it to some budding.
Because what I'm hoping, Richard, is when we find young lads like, what's his name? Like, you talked about him earlier.
Kelvin, Terry, Ernest,
Nathan.
Wallace.
Nathan Jackson.
You're good. You are such an asset. Shut up, you.
Get him to pay you.
No.
No, I'll just give her lots of pudding when she
Now,
comes
I
down and
think
she's
there's
not
a
too full
couple
to
of
eat.
I'll make sure Max gets his
cryptozoologically
timings
relevant
right
papers
next
in
time.
that.
The Oryx.
In that one.
Collected.
Oh,
editions of the
lovely.
Oryx.
But I think there are some useful things in there somewhere. I think that's why I ended up buying it.
But anyway, I want to find when you get kids like Nathan who are intelligent, hardworking, and probably don't have all the books, it'd be nice to be able to give care packages to them.
Go on, give Moa sightings away.
Christ.
But I did send a whole pile of books to...
Oh, it's one by Steve Jones.
That's a good book.
What, the guitars from the Sex Pistols?
No, the Pagan Magistrate.
Do you remember when we had...
Horror.
Were you there, Max, the year we had Raph Scabies as our
Yep.
guest of honour?
Yeah.
And you know, and
I got drunk with him in the pub.
yeah, and Steve Jones came to the bar and somebody said,
oh look, it's Steve Jones. And Rat turned around and said, no, I don't think so. Because he knew about Steve Jones' Sex Pistols. And
Excellent.
I wish you'd been there for the last one when we had Steve Ignorant as our keynote speaker.
That would be cool.
I love these old dinosaur illustrations.
Those are bang up to date, aren't they?
Which reminds me,
Life on Earth, but it's the different edition. Freshwater aquarium fish.
cool.
It's got some good photography in it.
What's that,
Big
Richard?
cats of the world.
I think I've got. Let's see the front cover. I think I've got that. Yes, we have got that one. Do you want it?
Yeah, I'll take cats of the world.
Index of cats.
Because I bought that the same day I bought the Deggersburg Cats book, which is my favourite.
Insect ecology.
4.
Chuck that one on the phone.
I'm not going to chuck anything on the fire. No, we haven't got a fire anymore. I've got Shrine to Ganesha in front of it.
So you do.
The Book of Loud.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Rock on, Daddy-O.
Oh,
There you go. You're about a third of the way through.
Oh, you're kidding. Okay, go and get the next one.
And so the meta-sorting of Max's incredibly generous gift to the CFZ went on. And at the end of it, we had something well over 1,000 new books to fit into our library. I gave up counting somewhere after 900, and there were a lot after that. As I've been telling you in recent weeks, my two lovely housekeepers, Miss Shelley and Miss Judy, have been working very hard and making the library into a library again, rather than either an old lady's bedroom or a convenient place to put all the other crap that we didn't know where else to put. But they are ruthlessly throwing out stuff that I don't need and tidying up stuff that I do, and very soon the library will be a library again. But we also have another 600 or 700 books in my attic in my old house in Exeter that have to be brought up again. And so there isn't going to be room for everything that otherwise I would have liked to have kept. So what we're going to do is to reinstitute something we used to do a long time ago. We are going to start up a second-hand bookstore, or rather a second-hand books page on the CFZ website, but also we are putting together care packages of books which are not necessarily that easy to find, and which younger and more impecunious cryptozoology students around the world might not otherwise be able to afford, and we are going to send them to them for nothing. So watch out early in the new year when Richard Muirhead and I start to catalogue these books and put the ones that we just haven't got room for into a list, and you will be able to either buy them or receive them as part of a care package. So I think that's an important thing to do, and as Christmas is the time of giving, and I think this show is going to come out sometime before the end of the new year, I think it's a good thing to do.
If you want to support us and help us make more content like these, please press like, subscribe, follow our Facebook page, and check out our Patreon.
And as the ghost of Joe Strummer, who is an ever more regular visitor to my little studio, wants me to remind you
always press the notification bell. Otherwise you won't be told when there's a new show to watch. And that would be an awful pity, wouldn't it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the end of another episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to say a big thank you to the people but for whom this episode would not exist. First of all, my old friend and Deputy Director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, Graham Inglis, who is also bestowed upon me by a beneficent government as being my carer, and he is looking after me as my body slowly and inexorably falls apart. I also want to say a big thank you to Louis, our producer, who is a complete sweetie pie and who puts up with me each week as we put the show together. And I'd like to say a big thank you to this week's guests, Richard Freeman and Max Blake. Dr. Max Blake, my dear nephew who I love dearly, and whom once again I want to say thank you to for his extremely generous donation to the CFZ. And having had a quick look at my scheduling sheet, which I hadn't done just now, I'm very pleased to say that this is the Christmas episode. And so the fact that we're talking about giving away books to people who can't afford them does seem an appropriate and good thing to do. So, as it is Christmas, I want to say a very happy Christmas and a peaceful and prosperous New Year to you all. And I'll see you next week, which will be our New Year's Eve episode. And what is in it? We have an interview with American cryptozoologist Matt Billy, and we have the return of Ian Scribbs, who is going to be looking at the most recent photograph to come out of Lake Okanagan, which is the place that I am sure you all know there lurks a creature called the Ogopogo.
Looking for the Ogopogo, the bunny is Ogopogo. His mother was a pollywog, his father was a wayline, but he was living in his house on his daylight.
And before that, we're back on Wednesday, where Richard and I will be bringing another book review for you of one of our favourite books, Mike Dash's Borderlands. So, until then, Lilith and I are saying goodbye, and if you're there on Wednesday and again on Saturday, we'll be seeing you.